Thank you for joining us today. I hope that wherever you are in the world right now, you and your families are safe and well. Today, we'll be talking about a hot topic, one that makes and breaks profit and team morale, labor productivity. My name is Lauren Contreras, and I'm coming to you from Santa Barbara, California, and I'll be your host for today's session. Today, we'll be following two mechanical contractors through how they're leveraging Procore to boost labor productivity with the right tools and workflows. It's our goal together to ensure everyone walks away with something that they can apply to their businesses immediately. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to remind you that throughout Groundbreak, we'll be sharing some really cool new features not yet generally available. Please make sure that you're making purchasing decisions based on what is available today. You can read the full text of this slide on our website. So let's begin. Productivity in construction is often broadly defined as output per labor hour. Understanding what that output is something that we must become intimate with. It's what allows us to accurately and most importantly, profitably bid on projects. It's also the thing that allows us to efficiently course correct in the event of change, field impacts, or the desire to accelerate. All characteristics found across most projects, right? If one is going to boost their labor productivity, one first needs to have their finger on the pulse of what their productivity is and know what challenges, risks, and elements impact that productivity rate. Your field team's ability to be more productive is contingent on having the right environment, plan, materials, and tools, both for installation and communication, in place to do their very best work. In order to keep up with all these elements and your team moving efficiently and effectively, the primary thing that you need is visibility. It's that visibility that will provide you with the information needed to understand where you're strong and weak. It's what enables you to create change across your processes, build a better, more transparent culture with your team, and introduce one of the most important ingredients necessary in boosting productivity: accountability. Visibility and accountability are effectively what divides your competition into two groups. The first group being those that are intentional about continuously improving based on what they know and understand. And then there are those that are, for lack of better words, winging it based on what they think they know, right? In the end, only those that have visibility and are actively addressing their inefficiencies will remain preferred partners as demands increase. Without them, you will continue to run into the following issues you see right here, making it really difficult to bid at the preferred rate we're all shooting for. There has never been a better time to grab hold of your visibility, leverage the information that belongs to you, and transform your teams. The increased expectations for higher productivity demands us to. Communication with our prefabricated systems, warehouses, and shops, our desire to recruit new blood to the industry while also taking care of the talent that we have and cannot afford to lose. Think about what we could learn from the planning, documentation, and communication threads spread out across our projects. Procore pulls it all together, connects conversations and processes that were once siloed, allowing you to promote a culture of accountability that ultimately provides everyone the equal opportunity to be outstanding. Today, we're going to hear from Frank Matz and Tim Anderson. Both are CEOs of successful mechanical contracting companies and have been partnering with Procore for 2+ years. Central Air and Heating Services, Inc. has been family-owned and operated since 1972. Frank Matz is a second-generation owner, purchasing the company from his father in 1990, and is now focused earnestly on nurturing continuous growth and opportunity for his employees. Tim Anderson of Anderson Mechanical Services Incorporated is also a second-generation owner. In 2017, Anderson Mechanical had 40 employees. 4 years later, that headcount jumped to 140. With that rapid growth, they focused on onboarding technology quickly to keep up with the opportunity demands that they had in the Washington metro area. He, like Frank, started in the field, working his way through accounting, estimating, project management. Both of these companies are about as paperless as mechanical contractors come. They are applying Procore's platform, insights, and connected integrations, equipping their teams with select tools that are promoting the visibility and accountability necessary to boost their labor productivity. Through these tools and connected workflows, They have been able to instill true accountability across their teams, which has boosted morale and brought visibility to their most productive workers. They've empowered their field teams to effectively communicate, track installation, and log requests for resources necessary to keep them moving and installing more effectively. And lastly, they're leveraging the data that they're collecting to continuously improve. I'm excited about what we have in store for you and would like to turn it over to Frank to kick us off. Frank?
Lauren, thank you for the introduction. At Central Air and Heating Service, we had some challenges: payroll, workforce management, and personal accountability. Self-performed construction companies are at natural odds with their workforce. The company has a signed contract for a completed product, and the people tasked with getting this done, our field workers, get paid by the hour. When we were smaller and working shoulder to shoulder, it was much easier to gauge a person's productivity. But then we grew. Growth is a great thing, but as we all know, it also brings challenges. The company must be able to scale the things which made them successful and grow in the first place. As a self-performed contractor, we at Central Air and Heating Service have always believed that what makes us great and successful is the workforce we put in the field to do the work. A professional, conscientious individual working with others and armed with all the tools and support they need to get the job done well, and get the job done within budget. Simple enough. However, as we grew, our core field management and crew started to run thin, and we lost connection with the field employees. We didn't lose contact with all of them, just the good ones. We spent plenty of time on bad actors, petty complaints, poor attendance, disruption. It's horrible how we spend the most of the time with our worst employees. Productivity was suffering and morale was dropping. We were spending hours just trying to get people paid and not even know what we were paying them for. On the previous slide, I mentioned a conscientious personality trait. This is important because that word inherently includes honesty. We can teach skills, but you cannot teach personality traits. So we at Central Air and Heating Service need conscientious personalities because we're going to give them everything they need to put them in charge of getting their work done. Everyone has models, drawings, and directions. Everything's in the palm of their hands. At Central Air and Heating Service, we view the time card as the individual's invoice to the company. The company has the obligation to pay the employee for the hours they worked that day, and we believe that the employee should in turn at least tell us how much work they did that day, where they did the work, so that we can go inspect the work. At Central Air and Heating Service, the individual employee enters their own time directly into Procore from their own personal mobile device, preferably a phone. Procore allows for the input of enough information in a single screen to immediately create this employee invoice and immediately update the budget. If projects' budgets are set up correctly, we can tell the work is being performed in the budgeted time. Upper management is able to see how the overall labor budget is tracking and drill down if necessary all the way to the individuals performing the work. Budgeting a self-performed contract is a real challenge. We want to capture what the individual is doing. There are so many different tasks that are performed on a single project by a single trade, and there are different production rates for each task. It is a challenge to create enough cost codes to provide for all scenarios. We have created enough cost codes to cover them all. Depending on the scope, scale, and duration of the project, we determine how gritty and detailed we want to be. On a small project, we may want only to capture pipe labor, pipe material, duct labor, duct materials. On a larger project, we would have more cost codes, simply because of the amount of time spent on each task. For instance, a 3-story building would have multiple subjobs using the same cost codes. If set up correctly, we're able to see what the average and individual production rates are by project, subjob, and cost code. So this is an example of labor budgeting. We're allocated our cost codes to subjobs and locations. This example is for sheet metal installation of high pressure and low pressure and trim out. You can see the different cost codes for each. Time entry. Each employee uses their own mobile device to input their own time and create their own daily invoice using My Time within Procore. The app actually prompts the users to select available items. The employee must select a job, sub-job, location, and sub-location if necessary. And finally, the cost code for the task that they're working. You press start, their timer starts running. Prior to starting another task, we ask that a description be entered or work completed. Once all information is input, the next location and cost code are selected and the process repeats. Different cost codes are used throughout the day as they move to different locations and perform different tasks. There is a function for entering lunch and breaks so that we can capture that time when it happens. And geofencing helps us prevent time being input from people that are not on the job site. We can confirm that it was done within the actual geofence area. We really try and make people do it while they're on the job. We want it in real time. Through my time, we clock in, find the job, find the sub-job, and location. And in this example, the specific area of building A. Once selected, I pull from the list of type of work that is going to be done. These are the cost codes. Identify that it will be hourly. Enter the description of work being done and apply. And if I want to switch tasks, I can. Reports are generated every day and sent to the superintendents, project managers, or others with permission to see the budget. Stakeholders with the access to the budget can see how many hours have been worked on each cost code item versus what was budgeted. With really good reporting, we show how many hours a cost code has been worked in a specific location. For example, we can develop a report that shows us how many hours a cost code has been spent on variable air volume box 125, who did it, and on what day. We have also created cost codes for time that we do not budget, but we know we're going to have. Things such as safety meetings, JSAs, mobilization, and even procurement. We make people clock in. If they've got to go get something, we want to know how much time it took. It's a great report when somebody asks if you're having safety meetings or if employees are conducting JSAs, especially when the employee inputs the date, time, location, when it occurred, and how much time they spent on it at that moment. And it's paid for. So, the JSAs and safety meetings are really, really important. BIM, Building Information Modeling, has also improved our field production. We model 100% of our projects. If the project is not designated as BIM, we model it anyhow. We have scanners that would go out and will actually scan the facility and all the areas that we're going to be doing work to ensure that our ductwork, piping, and equipment fit prior to manufacturing and delivering. The benefit is our field workers know that the materials and spools they've received fit. They don't have to wonder if what they get today is going to actually work. BIM allows for assembly versus design built on site. Ductwork is 100% custom. If it doesn't fit, you just throw it away. So the great part about it is once we receive something out in the field, the guys know it's going to fit. They don't worry about it. They don't have to worry if they're going to have to cut it and rebuild it later. There's also great inherent qualities to BIM that if they can take a look at it, they know what gauge of duct it is, what piece number it is, where it goes. They can search it within the file if they just pick up a piece on a job. BIM has everything you need, and it's right there inside your phone. So this is an example of looking at construction shop drawings, knowing that there's a 3D model attached, selecting a location and view to begin jumping into the model. Once we get into the model, we can immediately see that it helps answer most of the questions as to where everything's going. But we can also click on an item to get information on that section selected, such as diameter, spool number, and connection type. If we want to verify some measurements, we can select points within the model and get the design measurements immediately. There is no need to stop work and ask. Confidence to make decisions is what this tool brings to the field. We use a 360 capture function along with Procore integration ClearSpace. This allows for design team to virtually walk a project and overlay actual location with design. Stakeholders can visit a project virtually and see the progress and question items before they are covered up. We can create RFIs and upload them directly into Procore. We actually had one of our BIM designers virtually walking a project that was not totally BIM. So it was just our design with no walls, ceilings, floors, anything else. He noticed that there was a whole section of ductwork that was out of place. I mean, by a big section of ductwork, which the field crew just couldn't really tell because there was nothing there. It was just a big warehouse. But he noticed it, called them out in the field. They verified that indeed it was in the wrong place. Now, it costs a lot of money to fix that, but it will cost a lot more money once the other trades have caught up. And the great thing, well, one of the really inspiring things about this is the person that caught it, our BIM modeler, is confined to a wheelchair. He hasn't always been that way. He actually was a field worker and had an accident, but this is what he does now. But we've actually, with the use of these tools, been able to put him back into the field. It's really great. Yeah. So, success stories. Yeah, morale is up. Great employees want to let you know what they've done to you that day, and they want to report it to you. They don't live in fear that someone else's poor work ethic is going to tarnish theirs. Productivity is up. Employees are measuring themselves and providing us with information to improve their wages. We have quality paperwork and reporting data from our field workers provided at no extra cost to the project. There's direct collaboration with field and design teams. Field and others can look at real-time job constraints compared to models and get solutions that work without site visits. Cross-training. Since we have so much great models, we're able to do assembly now. It's not a specialty trade as much as it used to be. We can actually train sheet metal workers to install piping and train pipe installers to install ductwork. They just know everything fits. We just got to teach them how to use tools. All piping and ductwork are modeled, labeled, and prefabricated. There's no question about where it goes. You just search the model. We also have real-time discussion with stakeholders about the need to physically show up on a project and disrupt production. Lessons learned. Start mocking up your projects and budgets and decide on a logical ladder for sub-jobs, locations, and cost codes, and test it. If you keep changing it drastically, you're going to lose the support from the field. And once you lose the support from the field, if they don't believe in it, you're in deep trouble. Leadership also has to be on board. The leader needs to have the support also of all the upper management. We found that it's best to push from the top and the bottom. The people in the middle, they're your biggest troublemakers. Your PMs and superintendents, they're just going to have to get squeezed into using this. Lastly, get the right people. We have found great success with hiring young people. And that's one of the things Lauren really loves. I love hiring gamers. I interview for it. I ask them. It's hard to get them out sometimes. But look for gamers. The way they interface with technology is what is needed. They surf in and out of this like nobody's business. They catch it so quick. I mean, they're so fast with phones. And they're always looking for better ways. They're looking for the answers. And what has really helped is the older guys in the field, I'm talking in their late 50s, 60s on the way out, who see no value in the younger generation, have soon found that these guys can answer questions for them on the fly. And these younger guys have taught them how to surf through and find the answers also. So now you have the older guys wanting to help the younger guys who are helping them. And again, for whatever reason, it's the people in the middle that we've just got to squeeze and get them on board, because the younger guys get it. The older guys, they're hoping that somebody gets it. And that's what we need. So this is what excites me about work. And now I'm going to turn this over to Tim and learn what he's done to improve productivity.
Thank you, Frank. As a specialty contractor, productivity is a buzzword that is thrown around our industry on a near daily basis. Every construction tech company and consultant seems to have a product or service that is marketed at solving this problem for us, the specialty contractor. While everyone seems to have a product marketed at the problem, studies have shown that even with all the innovation and technology, we're no more productive than we were 40 years ago. Part of the reason I believe this is the case is because the focus is on labor, and labor is a divisive topic. The office blames the field for being slow. The field blames the estimator for not putting enough hours on the job. The estimator blames the PM for ordering material late or not getting the right buyout. How many people have heard this before? To me, the true solution to solving the issue of productivity all falls in accountability, communication, and timely data that allows for responsive actions. At Anderson Mechanical, Procore has offered us the tools to help solve these problems. Our staff uses a combination of Procore tools, timesheets, observations, inspections, and reports to get real-time feedback as to how a project is running. We use these tools globally to help bring visibility to the budget, help promote communication workflows from field to office, and to measure key performance indicators. Frank did a great job explaining my time in the Time Punch app. Just like his company, our staff punches their time to jobs and cost codes on a daily basis. Our PM and superintendents no longer have to wait on payroll reporting that in the past would take 2+ weeks to see. We have projects that sometimes have 10 to 20 field staff on site and only last 1 to 2 months in duration. In the past, we would need accounting to post the hours to the job, which sometimes would take 2 weeks. Additionally, the field would have to ask the PMs for an update once the hours were posted. Now with timesheets, the superintendents at the end of the day can see the hours posted to each cost code, letting them know the potential problems immediately. The visibility has led to more open conversations between the field staff and the PMs. Now you frequently have superintendents telling the PMs how they are doing with labor hours. No more needing the project manager to provide the information. Our staff in the field has never been more accountable for the labor hours on the project. Now you might say, Tim, everyone can see the posted labor hours, but how does that actually affect productivity? For us, the first step was having the real-time information of the actual hours versus the budgeted hours. The next step for us was identifying the reason for the labor budget overages. We brought a consulting firm in about a year ago and interviewed both our PMs and superintendents and asked them what was their number one problem regarding finishing a job on time. Both groups gave the same answer: material orders. The field told the consultants the PMs never had the right or enough material on site to stay productive. The PM said the field was always late giving the material takeoffs to them. Same problem, two very different sides of the story. This left management staff with the question, who is right? In our old workflow, we would have had to sort through hundreds of emails to figure out who was right. Obviously, this is not a good use of time or is not scalable. So we looked to Procore for a solution. Using a combination of observations, forms, and photos, we now have a better process with more visibility to all parties. It starts in the field. The superintendent submits an observation, which is a list of material they need for a specific project as well as the due date. The observation is accompanied by a typed list or a photo of the handwritten order. An email is then generated and sent to a distribution list, which for us is the project manager and the project engineer. The PM then takes the list and shops the material to our vendors to determine who has the best price. The PM then updates the observation with a comment stating the expected delivery date. And the PM then writes a commitment in Procore for the material. The PO is then routed to an approver, either the project manager or an executive, if the dollar value is over a certain threshold. For instance, for us, any purchase over $5,000 needs an approval by the manager. Once approved, the copy of the commitment is sent to the vendor and to the warehouse for receipt. Once the material arrives at the warehouse, our warehouse manager takes a photo of the delivery and the packing list and uploads it into Procore by job. The superintendent then gets an email distribution showing the photo that their material has arrived and a copy of the packing list. The material is then delivered to the job site, which is documented via forms by our delivery driver. The field super then closes the material observation. And you may think this sounds like a lot of steps. We are explaining this slide by slide because I think every day people take for granted just how many people touch a material order. There are so many places for it to break down, and while we're not perfect at it, this process through Procore has saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars of wasted labor and material. Let's get back to my visit from the consultants that I mentioned earlier. Material was the greatest cause of lost productivity, but not the only cause of productivity delays. We needed a way to track all key performance indicators, or KPIs. In the past, this information was being anecdotally collected with our supers by filling out daily logs. The daily logs have pieces of great information regarding what happened on the job that day. The problem, though, was the distribution list was only to the supers and project managers, and no one else was able to see the notes. That is, unless the managers and the executives wanted to read a daily report every day for each of the 30 active projects. We needed to find a way to aggregate the data so that we could trend information quicker. So along with the daily log every day, we asked each of our supers to answer 3 questions. We created an inspection form in Procore and asked these questions. Did you have any safety incidents today? Do you have any quality problems today? Did anything keep you from completing your planned work for the day? If they answered no to all 3, great. We had a great day in the field. If they answered yes to any of these questions, an observation would be open to further explain the issues they had that day, and the super then assigns that to an appropriate party. Here's an example where we said yes. Here you can find a clear example of where another trade was holding us up from completing our work. By completing this form, the PM had a clean document that they could then forward to the general contractor to make them aware of the delay, along with photo evidence. Globally, we started to track your yeses. This report is generated on a monthly basis, showing all the yeses to those 3 questions during a given month. Guess which 2 of these jobs were behind and were the ones that first needed attention by upper management? This is the kind of visibility that allows for a corrective action to take place. Now let's talk about our success stories. We've improved our relationship between our field and office. We've lost less time and productivity in the field by our field staff. We've reduced rework by up to 15%. We've been able to create an audit trail where we've had a problem and then taken corrective action with the individual that had the problem. We've become more efficient and we've gotten better every day. Our field is happier because we're being more productive and they take more value in their work. We've learned some lessons along the way. While ERP wasn't on my list of things to discuss, I would be remiss without talking about it. Close your ears if you're an accounting person. I don't believe that ERP is the center of the construction universe anymore. A strong project management software is as important or more important to a company's profitability than the ERP system is. Luckily, Procore's integration now with most accounting platforms, so most likely your existing ERP will be able to tie in. The second thing we learned was to mock it out. Don't run before you walk. We have to use this idea of sandboxes. Procore gives them to you. Their trainers make it known that you should do this before you go live. This is where we go through and we test product. We test custom workflows. We test how things work with our superintendents and where we get it right before we go live with the rest of our company. Procore SEAL team. I'm convinced that executives and management level people have to be in the weeds when you integrate the product. If you don't have buy-in at the highest levels, the lowest levels will not buy in. You need it all the way through the organization. And lastly, procurement. We spent a lot of time discussing our workflow for material handling and ordering. We've used Procore and all of the associated tools within it to reduce our charges against our project and make sure that material is getting on the job in a timely manner.
Thanks, Tim. You know, it really is amazing how much we have the opportunity to change and improve and evolve when we know what's going on, right? Thank you, Tim, and thank you, Frank, for sharing your thoughts and offering us all something to take back to our teams and respective businesses. You've set the stage, you're accomplishing a lot, and from speaking with both of you, I know it's only the beginning. The more that people like you can lean in and share how to navigate their digital transformation journey, the better it's going to be for the industry as a whole. So thank you. To those tuning in, visibility is best accomplished through digitizing your processes. And Tim and Frank will tell you that in itself is a process. It's a journey, but one that Procore is more than willing and equipped to partner with you on. For example, onboarding technology to your field teams can be challenging, but to help, Procore has partnered with your peers, people like Frank and Tim across trades, to create a specialty contractor field team onboarding guide. This guide is like a love letter from your peers, people that have gone through it and found some great approaches or provided insight into what they would have done differently. This guide is a fully comprehensive onboarding experience and will give you insight into a strategic approach to getting your field teams to adopt technology. Field team adoption is key to providing you with the visibility and accountability that you're looking for. Speak to your customer success manager today to align on goals and scan this QR code now to get started. Lastly, don't forget about our ecosystem of partners and integrations that can boost the value of Procore's platform. Frank spoke to you about OpenSpace for 360 capture, and he's currently leveraging Sage integration to push financial information to and from his project teams. Sometimes it's about breaking down barriers and making Procore part of your team's daily routine. To aid and offer assistance with daily digital tasks, Nifty AI has created revolutionary AI-based automation bots for construction. It's actually transforming the way that we interact with technology and has the power to not just mobilize data, but actually comprehend and take action. You can prompt and fill out an inspection like the KPI inspection that Tim's team fills out daily, all done via text. Construction has a lot of moving parts that at times feel invisible, siloed, and difficult to analyze, but Procore's platform brings it all together and connects those dots. It's about driving iterative improvements. Tom Peters, the author of In Search of Excellence, once said that it's easier to improve 100 things by 1% than it is to change one thing by 100%. What that quote really speaks to is that continuous improvement really works best in baby steps versus giant leaps. You've got this, and we are here cheering you on. Thank you for showing up today, your participation, and we look forward to continuing our partnership in innovating and pushing this industry forward.